The okay, I got the message.
Setting up your meeting for Facebook Live. Yes. And so now I'm gonna mute myself in Facebook so we don't get an echo on Zoom.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna leave the live chat on. If some questions come up, we can see them and respond to them.
There we go.
I'll leave the live chat on. Questions come up.
All righty, Veda.
All right, Georgia, it's 6:30. Let's kick this off.
Yes, let's kick this off. You know, all day I've been doing women's health work. I've been walking around today promoting my I have a symposium coming up in November, women's health and wellness. And all it is I'm using all the opportunities I can use to get women to talk more, to hear and understand that their health is important. You know, women's health is actually one of the areas of healthcare that doesn't get enough attention. And I should know, I've been a women's health nurse for
Exactly.
several years.
Oh, great. So glad that you mentioned that, the Georgia Skiers. So glad you came with me and that we met.
Yes.
My name is Iveta, and I'm postpartum pregnancy corrective exercise specialist. And I deal with pelvic floors all day long. And every time, like sooner or later, something with sexual health or sex or penetration always comes up. And so I'm glad I found you. So Georgia, what is it that you do? Tell us a little more about it.
So originally I'm a nurse. I've been one of those for almost 30 years now. I actually have a few months till I enter my 30th year of nursing, with almost all of that, about 15 or so years of that in women's health. So to say I know women, I do. And then after that, I got more and more involved in women's reproductive health, and later on in women's sexual health. So I'm also a certified sexuality counselor. Now, while that educational piece component involves men and women, my focus is always women. So, and the reason for that is because we don't get enough attention from healthcare. And I've been in healthcare long enough to know where we spend money, what we focus on, what we approve, and the things we talk about consistently. And so women's health is not one of those things that we prefer to talk about consistently. And so I always say, hey, you know what? If there's ever going to be a platform to talk about women, I'm going to do it. Because I get those women that come in all the time, you know, what we call repeat customers. They come in and a lot of times with the same issue, and it's because they are not taking care of it. It's because they don't know about it. It's because they're not asking their doctor about it. It's because they're ashamed of it. And so I'm always the one that's going, this is quite normal. This is going to happen. This happens sometimes. Because as women too, we box ourselves into our situations. I must be the only one going through this. And it's because we don't talk about it. And I'm always fascinated by the fact that as girls, we get together, we talk about a lot of things.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know that any of us is talking about our tight pelvic floor.
I mean, really. And the other thing is that, like, when I met you, I was like, yeah, exactly. Like, because one thing, and what you said previously about like women don't take care of themselves, I see it so often with my people. And those are people with like busy moms with kids. And once you have kids, once you bear the child and bring them to life, it's like, it's all about them. It's all about them. And it's so ingrained in our brains. And it's always them. And because we're such caregivers, we don't give ourselves time. And sometimes I feel like I need to sort of push my women. It's like, you want to invest the time in yourself, just like, it's like, don't be, I also myself sometimes are like almost ashamed, like I spend this time for me, but I should have been maybe doing something for my family. Right? We don't do enough of that. And then the, sort of second pet peeve is like people then go to internet and Facebook. So when I met you, I thought like, yeah, let's do this to someone who kind of knows right. What they're talking about, and not someone random on Facebook who may be just talking from their experience, but someone really seen a lot of variety of people, and it's a safe space. So with this talk, we want to just, create a safe space for any questions or just anything related to female sexuality, and that's broad term. So folks who are listening on like live or on replay, please give us like a shout out in the comments so that we know that you're interested. So, put a heart, or if you're listening live, put hashtag live. If you're listening in replay, put hashtag replay. And when you think of any questions or anything you would be interested in, put it in the comments so that we know what you'd like to hear.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, this topic is timely. It's always timely, because when I met you and realized that you do so much work on pelvic floor, I'm like, yes, someone is out there doing this, because I often get the impression that we're suffering in silence as women, and we actually don't even know the resources that are out there for us, right? So whenever I get into a room and I introduce myself as a sexuality counselor, and go further into explaining what I do, I always hear, "Oh, I didn't know there was people like you." And I say, a lot of me, yes. And so when I work with women and I say to them, I can do this much for you, but the rest, you'll actually need to see a pelvic floor specialist to. What's that? And I say, this is the stuff we need to know. We need to know what's out there, who can help us, because it's a shame that a lot of times I hear, I've had this problem for 15 years. Oh my goodness. I'm like, how can you live with that thing for 15 years? And what have you done, or what have you been doing? We've been doing what we do the best as women, try to fix it ourselves. And we look it up,
as you said, put it on the back
shelf. We put it on the back shelf and look at it like, this is normal. I think I'm supposed to this because I had a baby. I think this is supposed to happen, right? Or I hear people say they have this trouble too, but nobody hears what we do about it, right? So they won't know that there's a Evada that helps with issues that may come up after they deliver a baby. They don't know the yous that are out there, and they certainly don't know the me's that are out there.
For sure. I mean, I knew there was something like a sexuality coach, but I frequently was like, okay, well, this is about sex and maybe how to have more pleasure, like more pleasure.
Right.
Like, that's like sexuality is not sex.
It's all tied in, right? Because here's the thing. I liked when you said, after a child, sex is not the same after you have a baby and with a baby, right? A lot of times the after part comes with all the things that happened to our little delicate area. And we believe that because it happened during pregnancy, we're kind of stuck with it, right? We're kind of stuck with the weak pelvic floor, where if, aside from the women who go through what we would consider minor vaginal tears and things like that that will heal. Everything else, women kind of just accept as it's just one of those things that come with having a child. And
Exactly.
it does affect their sex life and their when you say someone's sexuality, people don't understand how much confidence lives in sexuality. Because guess what? With women, I guess to some degree men as well, but with women, if my lady parts are not working, how much of a woman do I feel like?
And people don't realize that we go day by day. We're kind of glad we go to have a to work, and then we go home, prepare the dinner, and then it's like I'm like I'm done. I don't want to do anything, and I'm kind of glad sometimes my husband is like he's also tired, doesn't want anything from me because I don't feeling sexy. I don't feel like doing anything.
Correct.
And it comes with also with sort of with pelvic floor health. So I personally have been dealing with heavy leaking and incontinence for years. And so now it took me a lot of energy and a lot of my time to sort of find all the help and really heal myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't ready like to enjoy myself. And
it was not a priority for you then.
It wasn't a priority, absolutely. But everything suffers with that because sexuality is sort of our power, isn't it? A little bit. And it gives us it should give us energy.
Right.
And I know what I learned like about human body is use it or lose it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Use it or lose it. Yes.
It's not about the vagina. It's about just having a sexual life and feeling like a sexual being. It doesn't mean that you need to be having sex every day. It doesn't really mean that. I mean, and if you have kids, you like if you have, you tell me how you do it. Yes. And a child, and it's like he's everywhere.
Well, you know what it is? It's really because we often think about ourselves as there are separate pieces of me. And we're really not separate pieces. We are one unit called a human being. And with that, you don't separate your sexual part from your mental part, from your physical part, from your spiritual part. They coexist. So any one part, if you notice, isn't working optimally, it does affect the other parts.
That's a good point. So we're not whole. We're not, it's something is missing. We kind of know that something is missing, but obviously there are other priorities, and we're not taught to be in our bodies.
You go.
When I gave birth, and I was told to do these breathing exercises and like connect with my pelvic floor, I was like, what? Like how? Like what? It's like I had no idea. It took me some practice, but now like I'm always aware.
Mm-hmm.
And the point is just be aware of your body, how you feel in your body. And if you're not, like if you have diastasis or if you have any pelvic floor problem, prolapse, whatever, you kind of had to focus on that and make it a priority for yourself.
It is a priority, more than women know. And when it's not a priority now, like when I have discussions with women who have young children, and they say, I'm just way too busy. I'm too tired. I have, just listen to a scenario where a woman might say, I have 5 little ones between soccer practice, ballet, cooking dinner, and maybe they work too, right? And doing my job, I really just have no time to prioritize intimacy. And I say, well, yes, you do, because you have 5 children. And somewhere between that number 1 child, number 2 child, number 3 child, you kept going. and those children didn't drop out of thin air. You engaged somewhere to get them. So inconsistently, you are being intimate inconsistently. But I'll tell you what will happen when those 5 children get older and decide that they're going to go about their business, or you no longer have to drop them off to the soccer practice or the wherever you drop kids off to. You find now that you're more alone now with your spouse, your partner, but there's nothing there because it's all wrapped up in all 5 of those kids.
Right.
And so whenever I deal with women who are still active and still they've managed to find a way to romp it around with their husbands or partners, because it's not always a husband, right? They say, I make time. Or I had this issue after I had the baby, or believe me, the issues, they're this long. And they'll say, I kept at it, I kept at it because I needed to get this fixed, because as important as my children are, my partner is also important. And I always say, above and beyond all that, you are important. And none of us want to have a body part or a piece of us that's not working right. The minute we start to, I mean, let me tell you how ladies, women, I'm always amazed by us. If our hair isn't laying right the way we want it, if we feel like we're balding in this area or something, when I tell you, we run out and we take care of it. Okay, this eyelash isn't doing what I need it to do, and we prioritize what we want to. So I have met, I say, the most beautiful women with the most beautifully done hair that has the worst case of vaginismus that I've ever seen. And I'll say, how do you manage to keep such beautiful hair and makeup with such terrible pain down below?
Okay, so tell me about this vaginism.
The vaginismus is, these are women, and you have primary and secondary vaginismus. Primary being women who they're virgins, never had sex, just the tightest of vaginal muscle you can think of, where not a finger, not a tampon, not anything can penetrate or access their vaginal area. Sometimes, just when I tell you, just if those women had to sit on a bike, it would hurt so badly.
Oh,
Yeah. So those women suffer immensely. Of course, you can see intercourse for them sometimes is impossible. But what they seem to a lot of them say, yeah, but I've always heard that some women are tighter than others. Yeah, but it's not supposed to be to where nothing can touch it.
mm-hmm.
And so I would often, when I get inside myself, I would say, oh my goodness, I feel like maybe if that was happening to me, I would want to prioritize that. But then I also feel like, when you say you don't know what you don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know that I should prioritize this or how this will impact my future. The women you see who have the vaginismus that do the most work to reverse it are women who develop what we call secondary vaginismus, where they were able to have normal intercourse before, but something happened, whether it's radiation treatment from cancer or a scar tissue from any other thing that caused that tightening of the muscle and that narrowing of the space and the pain in that vaginal area, to the point now where they can't endure penetration without pain. That's secondary. Those women know what it was like before. So they struggle, they fight harder to try to fix it, more so than our women who have primary vaginismus. But nonetheless, we still put our best foot forward for the things we want to or we deem important, and not other things. But how you see that, when I say we're a whole person and not just pieces of us, you see how that spills over into other pieces of your life when women say, but I'm dating this great guy and I'd really like to, build a future with this guy, but from an intimacy standpoint, I can't do anything. I can't perform. Because the minute he even puts his hand and touches that area, I'm a screaming, painful mess.
So that ties in with, like, I see like tightness. I've been noticing it's getting like a new epidemic, and especially with like people after 35 and having, you have kids, one or two, and then it's people think they're weak. Pelvic floor is weak, but it's actually tighter. And
Right.
so a lot of women, they first go like, oh yeah, I have prolapse or I am incontinent. That's what they saw first, but then sooner or later it comes up, yeah, sex is not, it's just not comfortable because it hurts. And it's actually the tightness. So what's out there that they could, I mean, there's a lot of stuff they can do for tightness, but what would, like, toy wise is there?
So I'm glad you brought that up, because we unfortunately we live in a society that's not sex nor sexuality friendly, especially towards women.
Right.
And I'm not picking on men or anything, not at all. But I always say, go out in the middle of the street and ask anyone, sometimes even children, if they know Viagra.
Yeah.
And they will all say, oh, or they may not know Viagra, but they know the blue pill.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what that is. Ask them about a woman's thing. What's that? We don't know.
We don't know.
So,
Do you, like, for example, the anatomy of clitoris, have you noticed, like, it was discovered this year or last year, and it was like, well, like, this is actually, it's not that thing outside, but there's a lot of it
it's
inside.
not. And
It was
one day,
21st century. Yeah.
one day I promised to do a full I say become clitorate.
Yeah.
A full clitoris course, because it's a course. And I don't want to stray off of our topic. I always say we focus so much just on that, the tiniest piece of the clitoris.
Yeah.
And ignore the major thing that it is. But really, that's for another day.
Right.
But going back to our pelvic floor muscles and just anything surrounding the vagina and muscle tightness or prolapse, like you said, a lot of times women will think it's because it's weak, but a lot of times it's also because you're too tight. And is that our breathing too? Yeah, we're so stressed out, we're so full of anxiety, we actually don't deep breathe. We don't breathe from down in our bellies where we're supposed to all the way up through our chest and let it out. We're shallow breathing so much.
Yeah.
And just tightening up the muscles all over our bodies. And again, women are so far removed from their vaginas, it is so funny. It is your one organ that you have, but you're so detached from it. And you so don't realize how much of what you do impacts the environment. I say that real estate below your navel. It's prime real estate, and we do nothing
I love
about
your
it.
analogies. Real estate beyond navel. Yes, that's your pelvic floor.
It's your
Exactly.
pelvic floor. It is. And so our industry, we're getting better. We've still got miles to go, but we're getting better about addressing things that deal with women's health issues. So we've got a slew of vaginal issues out there, or pelvic floor issues, in this whole real estate area. We've got the vaginismus that I'm talking about. We've got the pelvic floor spasms that we're talking about. We've got vulvodynia and vestibulodynia, and those are just pain and burning and this miserable feeling. That's the way women describe it to me. It's just fire down there. That's the word they use. It's just fire. It's a lot of, if you can think of it, if you can close your eyes and think of angry muscles that just constantly do this, just constantly spasm. We may have this happen to us every once in a while in a very acute state, and then it goes away. Some women have this spasming and tightening and pain constantly. This is their normal. And so women who live with such distress, they have to They have to do something to alleviate those pains. You also have something we can't avoid. For some, it's worse than others, menopause, right? And with menopause come the potential for that, what we call vaginal atrophy, the muscle thinning, the thinning and dryness that will happen with menopause creates an angry environment too, with some spasms. And those things are all painful. So going back to how our society has criminalized and demonized vibrators, they were designed for a reason. Now, things, we would always try to put a sexual connotation to something and then ignore the therapeutic aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to our disadvantage, because vibrators were designed in the first place 100 years ago to help women with hysteria.
Yeah. There was a movie about it, I believe.
Yeah. And those doctors at that point felt like, because one thing we do know that studies have proven over and over, vibration therapy of any sort helps. Mm-hmm. If you go out and you get a massage nowadays, you go to a massage therapist and you go you need your body massaged, sometimes they'll incorporate vibration therapy, and that really helps the muscle.
Or the massage guns. I have a couple of massage guns, those vibrating things.
Everything is vibrating nowadays. And if you don't believe me, you just walk through the mall and see those great big vibrating chairs. And you sit in there and you feel like, oh my goodness, my back feels so much better. Things vibrate and they help the muscle.
Right.
Why is the pelvic floor, the vagina any different?
I have three, but so this is the middle one is a PeriFit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pelvic floor train. It's not exactly a vibrator. You have to have the app really to take advantage of it. This is a vibrator my husband actually bought. I thought like, it's kind of small. Why are you buying this? And this one it was a game and I won it in a sort of like a fun game.
Uh-huh.
But this one's like, hey, was this designed by a man? This vibrates like way too much. This is like, this is like, I can't, maybe or I was too tight and I was not prepared. So maybe later, but this was like, oh my God, like this vibrates the whole house. So there's a lot of things, vibrators, and there's also dilators.
Yes. And actually dilators are huge for pelvic floor and vaginal issues. Dilators they are best described. Some are plastic, some are silicone based, but they were designed to relax the vaginal muscle and tissue so that it reduces the discomfort and the pain that women experience in the vagina. You can use dilators to treat any and all of those situations that I mentioned, and do so in the comfort of your own home, at your pace, under your control. And what I mean is, one of the things that keeps us out of treatment, oh my God, I'm going to have to go to a doctor's office and I'm going to have to put my feet apart and I'm going to have to get my doctor to touch on my stuff, and I don't. With dilators, you do it yourself. Your doctor would normally, or not just your doctor, but your pelvic floor specialist can recommend dilators, and with guidance tell you the ones to buy, and you go home and you use them yourself, of course, under guidance. Again, now, are there women who just go ahead and buy these things and use them? Absolutely. But I always say, when you're messing around in territory like that, you want to get some instructions. So like, I have a set, and they're not my favorite in terms of, when I say they're not my favorite, I mean, these are the bigger ones. I call them the graduated ones.
Okay, so they're like way too,
yeah, like this for this set that I have, this is the smallest one. This one's your smallest. And I want to tell you, they do have They do have some that are really like this little, like a pen.
Like a pencil.
They have, yeah, they have sets where they are this skinny, and it does graduate the same way this one does. So, and how it typically works is, say you have a serious case of vaginismus or vulvodynia or vestibulodynia or anything,
Tight
and
pelvic floor. Yeah.
and you are so tight, and I'm telling you, I've met women who you can't even touch like this. You just can't. They're a screaming mess. And so you go and you say to these women, when was the last time you had a pap smear? What? I can't have a pap smear because nothing can go there. That's when I know you need this, not this one, but the smaller one. What this does is it gives you control, because another one piece of vaginismus that people ignore is the mental piece.
Yeah.
Right? There's a huge mental component to it. And that's for a different day as well, because I've always had pain here, I think it's always gonna be painful.
Yeah.
And that is not necessarily true. And the more I refrain from even touching there or anything touching there, the more this
Reinforces.
goes on, it reinforces. So if I'm your pelvic floor therapist or your sexuality professional, and I say, you know, Eveda, I want to start you on dilator therapy. And I want you to take the smallest one that you can find in the pack. And you're going to just, for 20 minutes a day, maybe every 2-3 hours. If you have a job and you're gone, I'm not going to bother you with that. But I'll tell you, when you get home, just lay this there and just use this to just rub it along the muscle. And it comes with a you have to perform some breathing as well, because you may be a nervous wreck. But guess what? This is not a doctor holding this, or a therapist or a person doing it to you, which would be a nightmare. You're doing this yourself. So you get the instructions to just get your body and your mind used to something touching it. And I know that the discussion will come up, what's the difference between this, a dilator and a vibrator? Some of these do vibrate, which is excellent, because you won't have to have a separate thing that vibrates. That's going to also help to relax the muscle. So for the ones that do vibrate, once you activate it, we'll tell you, just lay it there and just have it vibrate, and have it just give the muscle that message that something is there, and give your mind that comfort that, oh, something is there and it's not painful. And it may be painful, but I like to give you pain in increments of 1 to 10. And maybe the very first day you went and bought this and put it there, you're measuring your pain as a 10, but I'll work with you to say, we want to get your pain to a 4. So each day for 20 minutes, I want you to, and so what you notice will happen. Now, the women are not just laying it there and rubbing it around and getting used to it. Eventually we say, now try to insert a little and a little and a little, until you'd be surprised. They get the little one in, it's no pain, it's good. Yay. Oh my God, this is not so bad. I'll tell you, now we'll go up to the next one.
Right.
And it graduates.
It graduates.
Yes.
So for a dilator, it should be like, depending on how tight you are, but you can totally start with like pencil one width, and then work yourself up. And usually these are sold in kits, right? Like you have a set.
Yeah, when you buy it, it comes with 4, some 5. Some of them have that 5th one it's not as smooth as this. It's got ridges and probably little bubbles on it. And that's to add an extra layer of stimulation to it, because a lot of times in especially vaginismus, it's that stimulation issue. You touch it, it hurts. For pelvic floor issues that you see a lot, I'm sure, the tightness that is there is preventing a whole lot of other things, or creating a whole nother set of issues. And we want to relieve the tightness. And that's what I try to help women to understand, you are so tight, you are hurting yourself.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so there's as I said, epidemic of tightness out there. And as you
I
said,
love that, an epidemic of tightness.
I see it everywhere, and it hurts me that all I see is people go to a pelvic floor therapist and they come back with kegels. And I'm like, no, how do you know that you're not tight? How do you you have to be, and this is, yeah, go to a pelvic floor therapist, but you can also be just you should be able to assess yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be
Correct.
afraid just to go with your clean hands, take a bath or lie down and just try the inside yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, so obviously after some time after birth, I was like, I don't even want to know what's out there. But then I had my husband going and we compared, and I was like, okay, this side is tight, the left side, but the right side didn't feel that tight. That already shows a lot about the imbalance. And then we were using the pelvic floor trainer and so on. And then I just needed him release me internally. And that's all I needed, really. But then using all these devices, or even without the devices, it made for a great foreplay.
Correct. And there you go. That's it. While it's important that women learn to use these tools for themselves, they don't understand how much of a add this is to the bedroom, especially the vibrating ones. So, you'll have women to say that I can't do it, but I let my husband do it, or my partner do it, or whatever. And so it adds some spice to things. Now, you have this, there's also a wand, and I really hate that I don't have a wand to show, but the wand is so much longer, and the wand is ergonomically shaped to reach those parts inside, those muscles that are hard to reach, that you can't get to them with these, not even the biggest one. You won't be able to get to muscles that are deep within that we're trying. Yeah.
Because they kind of need to get to the side of where the muscles is. So this and this, but from the inside. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Right. So it goes in and it addresses the trigger points that are occurring on the muscles that are on the inside. Yes. So that's your wand. That's what you use a wand to do.
Yeah. So I will this is not a wand, but it would be curved and a little longer, and you want to go on the sides, from the inside on the side, so you can feel for any trigger points, for any tightness that's not on the top. That's where your urethra is. You don't want to do anything on the top. You want to go down and either side of your sort of butt cheeks, but from the inside, right? So Georgia, we have a question. So which vibrator would be good for a first-time user? Someone who has pelvic floor tightness. Now, we said dilator should be as thin as possible for.
Yes.
What about vibrators?
I wouldn't do a vibrator I'd buy, so this set of dilators, I'd buy the smaller ones that are really skinny and start with the littlest one. Again, it's also going to depend on your issue, how severe it is, how tight you are, and how sensitive you are. Because I've also heard women who didn't start at the little one. They really just went straight for the one that helped their situation. So if, to say what's going to be the best one for you is going to be exactly where you are in your situation. Again, that is why it has to be driven by your specialist.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you can basically, in your job, you advise. It's not like I should go to like, I could, but go to just to Amazon, but probably it's not the best practice. I will not get the best quality. So it's really best to know, to get some advice and have a reliable source to buy stuff. There's another question, Georgia. What about Kegel floor X, or like this pelvic floor X for Kegels or something like that?
One question, Iveta. I have a couple of people messaging that they're not able to get into the live. Not sure why.
Well, because it's in the group, and so they have to be in the group.
Oh, okay. Okay. And in your group?
In my group.
Do you have anyone in your group that needs to, like, that's pending?
I have one. I have Jen Holness Wilson.
Yes, that's her. That's pending. Yeah. So a few people may be pending.
Okay, I'm gonna refresh. So she's approved. She should be able to get there, and that's the only request I have. But if you, in the meantime, if you wanna get the link to my group,
yeah,
and send them.
I actually sent the link from the event page.
Yeah, and then yeah, that they need to really go into the group because it's live streamed into the group.
Okay.
So you have to, if you can send them the link to my group, that will be great.
How would I do that? Let's see.
You just go on Facebook and find that group, Abs Core Pelvic Floor.
Yeah.
Should come up, and then just copy it, the URL, and paste it in the message.
Yep, will do. So to answer your there we go, your question though about the Kegels.
Yeah, and the X, and I remember we talked about it, and you have made a really good point. I didn't even know there's such a thing as a Kegel X.
So the thing with Kegel exercises and a lot of hold on.
Yeah, so there's, I think the question was about the X. And I remember you saying, so I'm not a fan of Kegels at all. I haven't done Kegels ever in my life for my incontinence.
Okay, I see where you're going. The thing with Kegels, I try to tell people, if you've post-delivery, you've already delivered your baby, or post-surgery, anytime you already have the issue. So I've already had the prolapse. I'm already experiencing incontinence. I've already been told by my doctor that I have some sort of pelvic floor weakness. A lot of women don't understand as well. If you carry a lot of abdominal weight, if you're larger in the stomach area, you jeopardize your pelvic floor. So once it's already jeopardized, you don't want to ever say never, but you're almost already out the gate for Kegels. Kegels are what I consider front end exercises. So if you think about even your own muscle in your arm, right? You will always encourage people, you do need to go to the gym and work out a little bit, get your arms raised, just pick up some 5-pound weights and 10-pound weights and try to keep your muscles toned and in shape. Reverse that and treat it the way we do Kegels as it relates to our pelvic floor. If I've already damaged my muscles in my arm, I've torn something, I've hurt something, I can't now just walk into the gym and start picking up weights and saying, yep, I'm gonna, this is already, I need to fix this before
That is exactly why I don't like Kegels. There's many other reasons I can name, but for maybe a different talk. But It's like I say, it's like the cherry on top. Doing Kegels is like for you're a power lifter, for example, and you lift heavy, that dang heavy barbells.
Yes.
And a lot of athletes pee themselves. And there was actually a study, it's like 30% of female athletes pee themselves. Well, they're not weak, but their pelvic floor is, and that's, or like they pelvic floor strength needs to match the strength of the other body parts. So they have to get the pelvic floor stronger to meet their abdominal strength and whole body strength. So that's where you would go like full on blown on Kegels, or you would want to buy those eggs or any other device to make your Kegel stronger. But that's not where you start.
Right. That's not where you start. No. And Iveta, someone, Sonia in the group has a question about surgery. I've had special vagina rep surgery. Yes, yes. So I can't do dilators. That is correct. So you want to know about vibrators. The silicone ones, okay. Silicone versus the hard plastic and rubber stuff. Silicone is better because you always want something that resembles natural skin the most. Silicone tends to be a lot more pliable. You can do things with it. You can move it around. And it actually does feel better. So of course, anything that we want to put in our delicate region, we want it to feel better. And that goes for vibrators as well. And for the vaginal reparation surgery, you want to, yes, use vibration therapy. It's massaging, it will help with blood flow, and it will help with the muscle, relax the muscle there as well. So yes, and oh, I don't know how I forgot to say this. Ladies, we need lube. Lube, lube, lube. Yes, lube is our friend. And I love to hear women say, "Oh no, I produce enough." No, no, we don't.
Oh, okay. No, absolutely never. Yes, right. That's true.
How much, what are we going to hurt if we add a little more lube anyway?
Yeah.
If you've had surgery in the area or anything, you want to avoid friction as much as possible. So yes, to lube. And lubricants, you want your body friendly lubricant. So they're water-based. That's what you want, water-based lubricants.
I would like to ask our listeners actually now on live or in the replay, if you have a favorite lubricant, I would love to hear which one you use, because I tried several and I have to say I'm sort of feel like limited to the CVS offer. And I don't know what, like, I don't trust really Amazon. And I know, for example, I'm from Eastern Europe, and I feel like I can get those good ones out there. But in the United States, I'm sort of like.
And I have a lubricant that I use for myself and that I recommend. It's actually one that I sell, and it's not because I sell it, one, because I like it.
Yeah.
And not everything that you can find on my website I promote, but there are a few things on that website that I promote, and that lubricant and the moisturizer. So that's another thing women's got to understand. As we get into a certain age bracket, God knows I'm not calling out anybody's age, but when we get into a certain age bracket, we also need moisturizer for those beautiful lips in that region. We need moisturizers as well. So what do we do to our skin when we add moisturizer to it? We keep it moist, we keep it supple, we prevent small skin tears and breaks. And we also, if we're pain prone in that area, we reduce the likelihood of pain by keeping the area moist. And certainly if you're going to use any type of treatment modality, you do need to now go ahead and add a layer of lubrication to the area. So, and I do have silicone-based lubricants as well. And why do I need silicone-based lubrication? If I'm in water.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a topic for another day. But
yes.
A few things before I forget. I just wanted to say, like people buy a lot of expensive creams for their face, but always, like myself, for example, but I don't take care of down there, you know, as much as I should, because that's my health and not
Right.
my face. Another thing is the Sonia, I think, asked, you know what I didn't quite understand. So she had this surgery, and
Mhm.
now she was told by her doctors that she cannot use a dilator, but she can use a vibrator. I thought like
Because the vibrator doesn't necessarily you won't have to insert a vibrator, you know. She can, Sonia, you can I'm using my, if you can see my hand right here as say the entrance of the vagina. You can get a vibrator and just put it right here and turn on the vibration mode and have it, and you can work it around the whole circumference of the vagina and just have it vibrate all around it. It helps with pain, and it helps to increase the muscle flow to the area. And
Mhm.
one of the reasons, I'm not sure how long ago you've had your surgery, Sonia, but what happens sometimes is, depending on how long ago your surgery is, they have you, again, it's going to start out with a, just insert a small amount of it and have it vibrate just at the beginning of things, or and then they help you progress that way. But if you go out and you buy one of the regular, you know, like, you having this wand won't help you, because it doesn't do anything, it's dead. So you want something, Sonia, that okay, so December. So yeah, no, I still wouldn't insert anything per se. Not yet. I would still take a vibrating, and it doesn't even have to be a what we call a phallic vibrator, right? You have vibrators that, which I think would be amazing for you. And if if you want to put my email in there so Sonia can email me,
Mhm.
you have some vibrators, Sonia, that the best way I could describe it is like it's a swordfish. And it spans out this way, and it just covers the entire vaginal area like that, and just vibrates away. So it doesn't necessarily have to be anything penetrating. And usually that's a good place to start.
Georgia, what your email? What is your email?
Georgia, sorry, Georgia at sheemancipates.com. Yeah. So I mean, this we can go on and on about just care of our vaginal area, using lubrication, um, moisturizing. You know, I'm telling you, each day we're at these lips and we're moisturizing like crazy, but we ignore our South sisters lips.
I'm sorry, our what?
South sister.
South sister?
She's our sister down south.
Oh yeah, you bet. Nice analogy again. Okay, so I posted your email address, and then can people ask you like questions? Then after this, where can they
Sure.
go?
So do you have a link to my, you can put the group, you can put the She Emancipates group
Okay.
link in there.
So Georgia
Yeah.
has a Facebook group,
Yes.
and
And
I'm gonna put-
it's for women with these questions, Sonia. Again, because I've I'm witness that women just can't rely on our healthcare system to help them get through whatever issues they're having. It's just the truth, right? I've spent 30 years in the system. I can tell you that a lot of times I am not lost in the system from my own. When I become a patient, I'm not lost because I know what to look for, what to ask, what to tell them. Sometimes I'm not asking, I'm telling. But I always fall back into the place of, oh my goodness, but what if I didn't know this to ask? And what are the women who don't know? What are they doing? Because you find that you're having surgery and leaving out of surgery, not fully understanding or not knowing what all of your options are out there. And sometimes you run into you've had surgery, and after I've had a conversation, I can say, probably didn't need surgery, but that's the disadvantage when you don't. I started out by saying you don't know what you don't know. So I created this group for women to come in there and ask, what this is going on with my body. You don't, you can post anonymously, or if you'd prefer to message me and ask me, and then we can take it offline and I can better help you. But women want to know is my slogan. Women want to know. And our healthcare system is not primed and ready to let you know. You almost have to be searching and begging and digging. And so if you ever need to know about, what is going on with my reproductive or my sexual body, I can definitely help you answer some of those questions.
See, that's a good point. Sonia had a surgery.
Sonia, you are correct. So there you go. The system is not the most friendly.
Especially for women. The system
especially for women.
Yeah. The doctors, I find like they sort of put your body into like pieces. So she had surgery in the vagina and now she's like healing it. That's all they care, like this little piece. When she sent home without much information about, okay, so what do I do next in 3 months, in 6 months? How do I deal with my sex life? Doesn't that affect the sex life a lot? And she's I assume in a productive age. And so what kind of, and now she's on her own. So we created these talks, and Georgia has a group specifically for this question. Go, everyone who sees this in replay, go join her group, or you can join my group for anything that is down there related. And Georgia will be really happy to answer all your questions. And we should ask those questions. Don't keep it to yourself.
Right. I encourage you to ask. And so again, it's like I said, I'm breaking up the secret society, right? There's this secret society. It feels like that women shouldn't know this about themselves, or shame on you for asking that. I also see women who, oh my goodness, they're coming out of situations with cancer. They've had, you'll go and you'll remove a whole breast off of someone. And I'll tell you, the healthcare system feels like, what are you worried about? I removed the breast, I removed the cancer, you're alive. What's your issue? That's kind of the position that they take. Not understanding that, yeah, you removed the breast, the cancer is gone, but what about the rest of my life? It's almost like now you're left to fend for yourself. So, there are people, sexuality professionals like myself out here saying, no, you don't have to walk around in the dark trying to find answers. We are here to help you and hopefully, get you back to what is considered a normal life for you.
And as you said, you don't know frequently what you don't know. So we're having these talks together so we can get it out there, so people, when they listen, women who listen, can realize like, oh, okay, well, this is what I can do, or this is, oh, I have another question, which makes me think, so that we can actually, or have time to contemplate a little bit about our bodies, about our vaginas and down there, and just dedicate a little time to ourselves. Just how much time is dedicated to male penis? Like everybody knows everything about it.
Yes.
Right? I feel like I know about it more than about my vagina or my pelvic floor.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Sonia, I hear that. No dance, no sex till Valentine's Day. Oh, so sorry. But you know what? This is, Sonia, I always say, we also have to get creative around intimacy. Sometimes, again, because of surgery and other complications, we may not be able to have penetrative sex. just right now, but we certainly can get intimate and get creative and still not ignore the topic or ignore the act, if you will. You're a dancer. It's okay. It's not that you won't ever dance, Sonia. Your dancing is just delayed because we've got to heal first, right? So yes, we've got to heal first.
Right.
So
And
yes. And so, Sonia, I did see your question about the coconut oil.
oh, that was my question as well.
Oh, it's your question?
No, it's not mine. It's not mine. But I heard something. People tell me like, don't use coconut oil because
I see people ask about coconut oil a lot, and coconut oil is good, but don't forget where we're putting things, right? And if you ask me if you should use coconut oil on your skin, I'll say yes. But for now, Sonia, and you understand the risk of infection and things like that too. I would really fray away from oils, and especially if you're going to use a vibrator, especially a silicone based one, I would really stay away from any oils and stuff like that. My recommendation is always to degrade the material, the material oils. You never know. And one of the things I know too is, and I've seen this happen with a patient. Yeah, we're moving away from the word patient, right? A client, where the product says it's raw, it's natural coconut oil, and it's not. So you're never knowing when you're getting the right stuff. So stay away. Start out with water-based lubricants, and graduate. That's what I say. Graduate. I'm a fan of graduating. You start small, get yourself on the healing right path, and then start moving into the more exotic stuff. Women want to get scented stuff. They get, you start and work your way up. Yes.
Okay, so may I ask, so the oil is
external, absolutely, baby. Oil for external stuff. Yes, external. Yes.
Is good or not good?
Yes, you can use the coconut oil. I don't know, Sonia, if I'm a fan of baby oil, but the coconut oil for the labia area and down by the perineal area, but not in. No. So yes, this has been fun, Iveta.
Right. Well, I'm still like left with a lot of things that we just touched on, right?
Yeah. We're at our hour, so I was like, yay, we got most of the questions answered, and hopefully our women will have a better understanding of what these vaginal ones are, that they dilators are, that we see advertised in. And like I said, I hate these ones. These are the big ones. You do have skinny pencil and pen-sized ones. They're out there. You don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to endure tight vaginal situations. You don't have to suffer with vaginismus, vulvodynia, and none of it. You can get relief, and you can, the good things about tools like this, you can you're in control. You're the driver of this treatment, and you can take it as slow and advance as quickly or as slowly as you're comfortable. But relief is possible.
And there's space to ask questions, safe space.
Yes, absolutely.
Women, we like us, like me, like Georgia, we like also have the same problems. We see a lot of women and we hear a lot of things, and we get the education, and you can just ask and think of the questions you might have, and get it out there and put some priority into your life. I think this was great. I learned a lot. We touched on a lot of things, and I think we should do this more often. What do you think?
I think so, absolutely. Again, it's my mission to help women know more. It's our bodies. I'm an advocate of get the mirrors out, ladies. No, start knowing yourself. Get the mirror out and become friends with lube.
Yeah,
You
and
will
with
thank me
yourself.
later.
You're going for. So what do you think of the next topic? So I was thinking, like, my people a lot of ask me a lot of questions about like libido, which is also something that I'm dealing with. Really low appetite. I feel it somewhere in me, but I just like, and I don't feel like having sex with my husband, and I'm afraid it's gonna get just worse and worse. So I think that could be one topic.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it certainly is a topic. It comes up every single time.
Every single time.
Every single time. Why am I not in the mood? You're not in the mood because you don't prioritize it.
Okay, so you are in the mood. It's just very at the bottom of the priority list.
You keep shoving it down further and further and further, because what do we do best as women? Deprioritize ourselves.
Yes.
So
Our
until it becomes a crisis.
Right. So our viewers in live or replay, write us in Georgia's Facebook, my Facebook, and comments into the event, or DM us. What would you like to?
DM is fine as well.
DM is fine as well. What would you like to listen to? What are your questions? What would you like to talk about? Yes. There's no stupid question. There is nothing off the table. Nothing is taboo. This is a safe environment. And we can then gather the topics, and we can put out a poll, and people can vote, and we're gonna announce when the next live is.
Yes, this is good. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sonia.
So thanks everyone. I posted Georgia's Facebook group in the comments. Check that out. I did post it also under the comments under the event, which seems to be a separate discussion. So Georgia's Facebook group and Georgia's email address is there. Don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you.
You have a good evening. Ciao.
Ciao.
See you next time.